Now there's a beautiful melody, and it's a sound that many of your customers long to hear in their homes. Converting them from window shoppers to happy owners is easy when you have the right selling tools. Of course, you'll also have the right grandfather clocks, made by Howard Miller. Hi, I'm sure you're well aware of the Howard Miller reputation for beautiful, carefully crafted grandfather clocks. Founded in 1926, the Howard Miller Company has grown to become the world's industry leader. And there's a number of very good reasons we're the world's premier maker of these remarkable timepieces. Notice that I said maker rather than manufacturer. If you were to walk through our state-of-the-art production facility in the pleasant lakeshore community of Zeeland, Michigan, you'd see that we utilize the latest woodworking technology to control manufacturing costs and speed production. But you'd also see plenty of people practicing traditional woodworking skills, like hand carving and finishing, bringing old-world craftsmanship to every clock, regardless of price. You'll find that fierce commitment to quality in every aspect of construction. This, for example, is typical construction in our grandfather clocks. See how we fit this joint with dowels and glue for maximum strength? It's so tight, it's as if it were one continuous piece of wood. On average, Howard Miller grandfather clocks utilize 45 dowels and 30 wood screws, in addition to special wood glue. No other manufacturer builds them this well. Here's another very important feature. Howard Miller is the only grandfather clockmaker that builds its own movement. Each one is handcrafted from solid brass by Kieninger in the famous Black Forest region of Germany. As you can see, we invest decades of experience and craftsmanship in every Howard Miller clock. And just look at the result. It's easy to see why so many people want one of these beautiful works of art in their home. But our investment doesn't stop there. We're one of the few manufacturers that actually brings customers to your door. We are the leader in consumer print advertising for grandfather clocks. No company advertises to the consumer more with full-page color ads in the most popular lifestyle and shelter magazines. When customers walk into your store looking for a grandfather clock, they're already pre-sold on the premium brand name in the clock industry. And that makes your job a little easier. We make your job after the sale easier too. Our $20 million inventory means we can ship your order in 48 hours or less, so you can promise your customer a fast delivery. And our rigid quality control standards means your customer will be delighted when the clock comes out of the box. Okay, you've seen the care that goes into them and the support behind them. Now let's talk about how easy it can be to sell a Howard Miller grandfather clock. First, it seems that just about everyone wants a grandfather clock. Chances are they saw their first one in Grandma's dining room or Uncle Jack's study, and it made a lasting impression. Now they're ready to start their own family tradition. The clock they buy will become an important part of their lifestyle and make a personal statement about their values. Buying a grandfather clock is an important step in their lives, so listen carefully to what they say as they examine your selection of Howard Miller clocks. The first thing to remember is showcasing. Always display your grandfather clocks together in gallery fashion in a high-traffic area. Place them in price point order so customers can easily compare styles and features. If you have carpeted risers, use them. Retailers tell us they've had great success displaying with risers. This next tip should be the most obvious, yet it's the one thing most retailers neglect to do. Wind the clocks. The pendulum movement and the variety of chimes is something few consumers can resist. These clocks can do a lot of selling on their own if you let them. Why, a gallery of clocks like this, chiming beautifully in unison, draws people like a magnet. Customers will need to wind their clocks once a week. You should wind yours twice a week to keep the weights high so browsers can see the lyre and the pendulum. Set a schedule, say Tuesday and Saturday, and stagger the time a little from clock to clock so customers can hear a variety of chimes. One more thing. Some Howard Miller clocks feature a lighted case. Does it make a difference to have that light on? See for yourself. Again, with a little help from you, these clocks will do everything but tap customers on the shoulder and say, "Take me home." Despite what may be years of longing for a grandfather clock, shoppers approach the purchase decision with caution and a few misconceptions. The first is easy to dispel. A customer may wonder if a grandfather clock is too fragile and too complicated for their home. This is what you do. Rock the clock like this. While they're catching their breath, grab the pediment like this. And tell them you're going to twist it. You won't be able to, and you can tell them it's because of Howard Miller's sturdy cross-member construction. A large, thick, sturdy wood rail that crosses the cabinet back, top and bottom. It's this kind of construction that adds to pride of ownership today and heirloom quality as the years go by. This is a good time to point out that Howard Miller backs each clock with a 2-year warranty. That's twice the industry standard. Now that they're convinced that there's nothing delicate about a Howard Miller clock, open the door and point out the pendulum, explaining that while you were rocking and twisting, the self-adjusting beat feature was flawlessly maintaining pendulum rhythm. Nothing complicated about that, is there? The next misconception, size. As they stand next to it, a grandfather clock suddenly seems very large to many buyers. So show them this. It's a carpet square, 2 feet by 1.5. This is how much of a footprint the clock requires on average. That's smaller than many television sets or computer monitors. But what if they think it's too tall? Well, if the clock is on a riser, be certain to point it out. Then mention that their home ceiling is at least 8 feet, and the average Howard Miller grandfather clock is about 6.5 feet. Case closed. But where will we put it? That's the next likely question. Well, if they're serious shoppers, they've already got a place or two in mind, so help them out. The foyer's nice, or that landing at the top of a flight of stairs. If it's January, mention that big open space recently vacated by their holiday tree. Get them discussing location, and chances are they'll find a place. Perhaps the biggest hurdle is price. And when you suspect cost is an issue, don't ask the customer how much they have to spend. Instead, focus on the fact that Howard Miller makes grandfather clocks in a wide range of prices. Start with the entry-level price point in your gallery, which could be as low as $700 or $800. Then step up to the next price point, carefully explaining the difference in features. As you continue to step up, the customer may remark that the clock is too fancy or too big for their home. What they're likely saying is that the clock is too expensive. That's okay. Answer all questions, move back to a lower price point, and find the customer's comfort level. When the customer's comfortable, they'll make a confident decision to buy. You should also try to put the price in context. Remember, buyers are likely to be younger, and they're also buying entertainment systems, multimedia computers, and satellite dishes. By comparison, a clock is equally as affordable, yet makes a far more personal statement about value and tradition. Step-up selling. It's a very simple yet effective process. All you're doing is showing the customer the many features of Howard Miller clocks, helping the customer understand the price scale, and finding the customer's comfort zone. For example, you might start with a basic model like this one, explaining the features like the fixed Blue Moon phase dial, and how the authentic chain movement must be pulled weakly to raise the weights, demonstrating the simple reeded columns and the elongated glass in the lower door. Make certain the customer has the opportunity to hear the Westminster chimes of London's famous Big Ben of Westminster Abbey. Next, you'd move on to a more expensive model like this one. You'd explain the advantages of cable versus chain. For example, a cable-driven grandfather clock is wound with a crank inserted in the winding arbors of the dial, rather than pulling the chains to raise the weights. It also eliminates the chains hanging in front of the decorative pendulum. Also, point out the attractive and functional moon dial feature. The moon dial actually tracks the 29.5-day lunar moon cycle once used by farmers to determine crop planting. Most consumers are fascinated with this feature, so sell it. The glass escapement panels let customers see the movement, and that's beveled glass in the door. Plus, there's more detail in the wood, like this carving on the bonnet-style pediment. The next model in your gallery might feature more elaborate woodworking, like this olive ash burl and these carved rosettes on the swan's neck pediment. You'd point out the illuminated case and glass mirrored back. Since this model offers a triple chime feature, you'd want to make sure that customers heard all three chimes, each duplicating a famous cathedral melody. Other models in your gallery might have more contemporary styling that will appeal to younger buyers with eclectic tastes. And be certain to point out the functional features that can make a big difference, like the automatic shutoff that silences the chimes at night. That's right, from 10:15 p.m. to 7:15 a.m., this clock will not chime if they choose. Especially important to buyers with infants or young children. At the upper end of your assortment, you'll want to be sure to point out all the fine details the actual wood case will offer, like crotch mahogany overlay, solid brass column caps, built-in curio cabinet shelves, and obviously, the size and stature of these magnificent cabinets all contribute to the step-up cost, but more importantly, increased value of these Howard Miller clocks. Know the features and be able to talk about them confidently. Get to know the names of the wood overlays, the molding styles, and various glass cuts. Most important, let your customer find the comfort zone. Remember, the decision is emotional as well as financial. Give them all the help they need to buy the clock they want. That's the key to successful step-up selling. And speaking of keys, let's not forget this one. Never go out on the floor without your door key and your winding crank. When you see an interested customer, unlock the door and put the winding crank in their hand. Have them wind the weights. It's easy, and they can't be overwound. When you're at the top, you're done. Help them interact with the clock. Open the door and move the minute hand slowly clockwise to the quarter hour to make it chime, and the top of the hour for strike. Let them watch the hammers strike the chime rods. Have them flip the silence lever if so equipped, or select the chimes on triple chime models. Demonstrate how easy it is to set the clock, simply by moving the minute hand counterclockwise to the correct time when the clock isn't chiming. You can even show them how the adjustable levelers assure perfect time regardless of floor surface. Once they get their hands on a Howard Miller clock, they're already half sold. When you're done, lock the door. Hold it shut with one hand and turn the key with the other, mentioning as you do that all Howard Miller grandfather clocks have locking doors. Finally, this special touch, a free brass heirloom plate engraved by Howard Miller with your customer's name and special date, so the cabinet can be passed on from generation to generation as a family heirloom. Well, that's about it. It's a lot to remember, so you might want to keep this video handy to brush up once in a while, and you might want to watch the setup video that follows. It's designed to help customers set up a Howard Miller grandfather clock in their home and contains some useful troubleshooting tips as well. For example, if a customer came back to your store to say their clock wasn't keeping accurate time, do you know what to tell them to do? It's simple. See this nut on the bottom of the pendulum bob? It's adjustable. Turn it clockwise or to the right to speed up the clock, or counterclockwise to the left to slow the clock. One turn of the nut equals about 2 minutes of time. Well, thanks for joining me. All of us at Howard Miller hope this video helps you increase sales of grandfather clocks and that it makes your work more rewarding and more fun.